Here's what you can look forward to on this episode of The Nice Guys on Business.
Their employees and the ones they choose become equally committed. So ultimately, of course, that passion, that enthusiasm trickles down to the customer. And the customer then feels that same level of enthusiasm. And that idea of empathy plus action becomes a very obvious next step.
I don't have any money, but what I do have is a particular set of skills. A set of skills that can make life for a man like you a living hell. If you let my daughter go now, that will be the end of it. I will not look for you. I will not pursue you. But if you don't, I will look for you. I will find you. And I will kill you. And the Nice Guys on Business. Need an education on how to grow your business? The Nice Guys are here to help. Learn about great customer service, networking, and how just being nice can help you prosper. Now, here are your hosts, Doug Sandler and Strickland Bonner.
So what makes the best of the best in the hospitality business stay on top, or for any business for that matter? How exactly does Zappos, Hyatt Hotels, or Zingerman's Deli rate 5 stars with customers? For more than 20 years, Dan Sachs has helped established and emerging businesses use hospitality practices to strengthen employee morale, customer retention, and profits. Dan's book, In the $1 Million Greeting, readers accompany Dan as he travels across the United States and Canada, interviewing leaders from both large companies and small companies to share their wins, their challenges, and lessons they've learned along the way. Welcome, Dan, to the Nice Guys on Business podcast.
Thanks so much for having me. Great to be here.
I'm just thinking, did I get the title right? The $1 Million Greeting?
You got it.
So what makes a $1 million greeting? Because how great would it be to be able to walk into an establishment as a customer knowing that you're going to get the reaction of a $1 million greeting from the purveyors of the business, and actually feel that as a guy that's in either hospitality, retail, or wherever you are, be able to provide that $1 million greeting?
Well, it's a little bit of hard work, but I think it's something that's attainable and certainly something that I have studied quite a bit over the years. One of the things that I talk about a lot and is the focus of the book really is the idea that hospitality, well, we think about it as something that is really focused in the hospitality sector, is part of the overall service economy, something we all touch and feel, and understanding hospitality's role as it relates to your customers, to your employees, to your coworkers, really can make a difference throughout an organization and ultimately create a much more profitable and enjoyable work experience. 2 things I think we all can value.
So how do you teach people that? You know, it's one thing to be able to say, well, we're going to teach you the $1 million greeting. And it's another thing to be able to actually have that so it doesn't come across as fake, false. Oh, well, I'm doing this because I'm making it valuable.
Yeah, that's a great point. I think, one of the things that came out of this book, well, there are a few things, but one thing, I guess, stepping back for a second is just understanding what we mean when we talk about hospitality, because I think it's such an overused term. Sometimes it gets a little confusing. But really, when I talk about it in the context of the book and with my clients, it's really about 2 things. It's about empathy, something we're all typically familiar with, and action. So the idea of understanding how to put ourselves in another's shoes and then do something to follow up on that to really make a difference for another person. And one of the things that came out of this book and these conversations, which are really sort of neat profiles of these 9 leaders, was that there were themes that repeated themselves across the board, whether people were in the hospitality business or it might be in a .com business. And those were themes around authenticity and accountability and community and having a vision and then acting on it. And those kinds of themes, I think, resonate with everybody.
Oh, totally agree. So take those more conceptual words like empathy and compassion and gratitude and put them into everyday actionable steps. What were some of the things that you found that were in common among those, did you say 9 leaders that you interviewed?
Yeah, I think, first of all, it starts with an overall vision. And obviously, people say you have to be able to walk your talk. And that certainly is true. But I think what's extraordinary about these folks that I talk to is that they not only internalize and really walk their talk, but they do specific things with their employees. And so let's start with employees, because that's certainly an important part. And even thinking about the hiring process. That's a great place to start as well. Is, for example, one of the folks I talked to was this guy, Richard Crane. He is essentially the COO at Union Square Hospitality Group in New York City. They famous for a lot of restaurants in New York and started the Shake Shack franchise.